All right, welcome back to another School Principal Reacts. If you don't know me, my name is Brandon, and I'm a school principal from the U.S. state of Georgia. I've been talking about reacting to the movie Matilda for quite a while. A number of you have recommended this episode for quite some time. It's been a while since I've reacted to a movie. The last one was School of Rock, which is part of a members-only series, so consider joining the channel if you would like to see that members only video. But this one is Matilda. I will be sticking mostly to the school scenes for a bunch of different reasons, but I can't wait to see what this one has in store. Just a reminder to subscribe to the channel if you're not a current subscriber, and also consider becoming a channel member. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, she's at the public library, I'm gathering. This is part of the story of her growing up from a baby.
Where are the children's books, please?
In that room right over there. Would you like me to pick you out one with lots of pictures in it?
No, thank you. I'm sure I can manage.
Yeah, and it's not the best thing for a librarian to say. At first, I thought she was going to be mean to her or something, but no, she was nice. But you want to encourage kids to read. I mean, this girl is quite small, but she doesn't need to just be looking at pictures and that's it. She needs to be at least attempting to read, or gaining some familiarity with reading and what you're at this age, you're learning, okay, how do I produce the various sounds, the whole phonemic awareness. And there's a whole conversation going on nationwide about the science of reading and changing how reading is taught. But that's a whole nother subject. But you're learning how to pronounce the various sounds represented by the words and how those translate into spoken language. But this librarian doesn't even try to encourage it. She's trying to be nice, but in a weird way, she's not helping her. She's saying, would you like me to have you get a book with a lot of pictures? It's not the best thing to say. I mean, yeah, pictures, illustrations are helpful. She said it almost in a way like, obviously you can't read, so I'm not going to give you a book with words. I'm just going to have you look at some pictures. No, you want to encourage kids to read even at such a young age.
Matilda's strong young mind continued to grow.
Yeah, look at these.
Nurtured by the voices of...
Yeah, look at these books. These are some serious books here. Now, what I said about reading, I would think that these are probably above her level, but hey, who am I to say that? I'm not saying that, but typically a child of this age is not going to be getting big, thick books. I see a Rudyard Kipling, the Sherlock Holmes, some serious classics here. I can't quite read the other ones, but it's not typical. But I guess it wouldn't be a movie if it were typical. Let's keep going.
Matilda had always wanted to go to school because she loved to learn. She
Going to
tried to
school.
imagine what her new school would be like.
Mhm.
Go ahead. She pictured a lovely building surrounded by trees and flowers and swings.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's not going to be like that.
Well, there was a building.
Look at this school. I guess they're trying to portray like the worst school ever. I mean, look at the little pointed spires. It looks, I mean, if I saw this building and I didn't know what it was and there weren't any signs, I would think it was either a prison, maybe like, you know, it does have windows, like glass windows. So maybe it's like a medium or low security prison or something, with this little obelisk thing. It's not exactly a tower. It doesn't look like you can go in it. It looks like some sort of factory or industrial center, or like I said, a prison. It doesn't look like a school, but I know they did that on purpose. And the kids are just sort of all over the place. I'm not sure what's happening here.
And children. So regardless of what Cruncham Hall looked like,
Cruncham Hall.
she was happy to be there.
Cruncham Hall.
After all, any school is better than no school at all.
Okay.
Isn't it?
I haven't seen any adults yet. Okay, here we go. Who is this? Uh-oh. Who is this? Oh, no. What? What is this? This whole movie is like so over the top and exaggerated, and she comes out with some sort of whip. You can't do that, lady. Oh, you can't do that. Now, believe it or not, corporal punishment is still used in many schools. It depends on where you live here in the United States. Some places do it, some places don't do it. I've heard various arguments for and against. I have worked in places that employ corporal punishment. I've worked in places where it was banned. So it really depends on what state you're in and also what specific school board you're in. Here in the state of Georgia, in the U.S., for instance, it is legal, but some school districts have banned it from their particular school district, and some school districts allow it. And so you really have to be careful, but you don't use that, whatever that was. Typically use a paddling or use a paddle, a wooden flat paddle is what you typically use for that. I've never done that myself, but I have worked in schools where it was done. Who is this? Goodness. Hasn't shown her face yet. Come on. Come on. What is that?
You, detention.
Detention. Come on.
You're too small. Grow up quicker.
So she's handing out random detentions for apparently no reason. It reminds me of iCarly. Mr. Howard from iCarly, if you remember, when he was principal for a time, he would just give out detentions for really no reason at all. And she says, "You're too small, grow up quicker." Okay, I didn't know being too small was a breaking of a rule, but let's keep going.
Shoulders back, stomachs in.
Come on.
Hey, sorry.
Detention for you.
That's
Detention.
okay. It's much better than being out there.
Yeah.
Is that my teacher? No, that's the principal, Miss Trunchbull.
Oh, principal.
You've gotta be kidding.
And a few of you mentioned her in the comments. Oof. I haven't even seen her a minute on screen yet, and she's an F tier. I mean, she's an F tier. Carrying a whip around, giving kids detention for no reason at all. Oof. Oof. Kind of reminds me of Mr. What's his name? From Recess. Prickly is leaving. His name was Mr. Slicer. Kind of reminds me of him, actually. But no, this belongs nowhere in the U.S. education system or any education system. It's crazy.
You squirts better skedaddle. I'm not kidding. The Trunchbull likes to snap a whip in there to see who's trying to hide.
Stomach in. Change those stomachs.
Yeah, but why? Like, you wouldn't just come out and just start getting them to stand up straight and just stand there and do nothing. Like, you would want to talk to them or bring them inside, or it's time to transition or whatever. You wouldn't just fuss at all these students. And I don't see any other adults. Like, do they have teachers? I haven't seen any teachers yet.
She doesn't really hit children with that riding crop, does she?
No, it's mostly for scare. What she does is worse.
Like what?
Like yesterday, the second grade, the Trunchbull makes a weekly visit to every classroom to show the teachers a thing or two about.
Well, a weekly visit to every classroom is kind of best practice. Now, I assume, to show the teachers a thing or two, I'm not sure what she means by that. I'm sure I'll find out in a moment. But classroom observations, yeah. I mean, if you just left it like that, visiting classrooms weekly, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. But I'm guessing it's not going to be. And you don't carry around a whip. I mean, you can't. Now, have I seen a principal carry around a paddle in the halls and sort of do that with it? Yes, I have seen that as sort of a little intimidation tactic. I don't condone it, but I have seen it before.
Julius Routwinkle ate 2 M&Ms during her lesson.
Okay.
And she caught him?
Of course.
Oh, you can't. No. Okay. All right. So it's time for the potential firings. Okay. So walking outside, cracking that little whip like that, she's going to be disciplined for that in some way if she's not fired. So that's potential firing number 1. Number 2 would be grabbing the kid's face. Now, all the mean stuff she said is probably not a fireable offense on its own. It is bad, but she wouldn't automatically be fired for that. Number 2, potential firing, grabbing the kid's face like that. That's you're gone at that point. You don't do that. Picking them up off the ground Yes, that's a potential firing. That's a firing. That's like that day you're gone and you never come back, and we'll send somebody to pick up your stuff from your office. That's number 3. I'm guessing she's going to get a lot of potential firings during this movie.
Miss Julius okay?
That's like an arrest. If he throw a kid out the window, if that really happened. Granted, that's in these kids' recollections, so it may not have actually happened exactly this way. But yeah, that's a firing, and let's call the police and let's have you arrested right away. um, but let's see what happens next year.
After being thrown out the window? Of
Mm.
course he wasn't okay.
Yeah.
He lived, if that's what you mean.
And why is she still here? They're basically saying he was injured. They said he wasn't okay, meaning he was hurt. You threw a kid out the window, even if he wasn't hurt, that's firing and you're under arrest and you're going to jail. I've never seen that, I have to say. I've seen the walking around with the paddle. Never seen any of that other stuff. No. You would be gone instantly.
Trunchbull used to be in the Olympics.
Weightlifting.
Shot put, javelin, hammer throw.
The hammer throws her specialty.
So she does this all the time?
It's better than being put in the chokey.
The chokey?
Chokey?
Yeah, the chokey. It's a tall, narrow hole in a wall behind a door. You have to stand in a drippy pipe with jagged edges.
What?
And the walls are broken glass and nails.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I'm hoping this is in these girls' imaginations and is not real. I'm going to assume that until proven otherwise. I'm going to assume this is these girls' imagination and not real.
Sticking out.
Festering ball of pus!
She puts kids in there?
I've
No.
been twice.
What?
Sometimes she leaves you in there all
No.
day.
Didn't you tell your parents?
They didn't believe me. I mean, would your parents believe it?
60 lines after school.
And if that happened, that's potential firing number 4, and you're under arrest, and we're taking you out of there that day, and you're getting a lengthy prison sentence, and all of the above.
Here she comes.
Fresh
Come
meat.
on. What?
Amanda Thrip.
Yes, Miss Trunchbull?
What are those?
What's what, Miss Trunchbull?
Hanging down by your ears.
What?
You mean my pigtails?
Are you a pig, Amanda?
Oh, come on. This is just, I don't even know what to call it. I was going to say over the top, but this is like, I'm speechless. This is totally crazy. I'm wondering, do these kids learn anything? Does any education go on here at all? Let's see.
Do I allow pigs in my school?
Come on.
My mommy thinks they're sweet.
Your mommy.
Oh, man.
Twit!
Potential firing. You can't say that, particularly about parents. Yeah, that's a potential firing. I think we're up to like 5 or whatever it is.
You'll chop those off before school tomorrow.
No, you
or
can't do
I
that.
will come around. But!
I
But!
don't.
Did you say but?
Hammer throw.
Oh,
I'll
man.
give you but!
What? Potential firing. If this person were on the principal tier list, F is too good for them. I don't know what tier that they would be on, but this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Good luck!
Excellent release. Think she'll make the fence?
What in the
Could be a
world?
close one.
Oh, got some flowers. Okay. It's messed up. Right.
Get to class before I throw you all in the chokey.
I was about to say, like, do they go to class or do they just get tortured all day? Like, what in the world?
What's my teacher like?
Mm.
Run! Faster! Get in! Quickly!
But Matilda's teacher, Miss Honey, was one of those remarkable people who appreciates every single child for
Okay.
who she or he
So like the
is.
exact
Scoop these
opposite.
up for you, Miss Honey.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, listen up, everybody. We have a new student with us today. This is Matilda Wormwood. I'd like you to sit over here with Lavender. Now, you all remember
Okay.
how scary your first days at school were, so I'd like you to be especially nice to Matilda and make her feel welcome, all right?
And it's funny. I saw a study one time that talked about various factors that impact a student's academic outcomes. In other words, what are the variables that make it to where a student is successful or not? And this is something that is studied intensely. I could spend a whole video probably talking about that and John Hattie's research and the research of others and what has been the thinking over time and how that has changed about what is effective and what is not. Anyway, the number one variable remains the quality of the teacher. And I remember reading and hearing from someone else the differences between like a good teacher in a good school, a bad teacher in a bad school with a good teacher, and a bad teacher in a good school. And even if the school isn't so great, even if it's really horrible, which this one seems to be, if you've got a good teacher, you still come out pretty well, actually. And lucky for Matilda, it seems like so far, Miss Honey, as her name is, I think, is pretty good, but we'll see. I want to see what exactly she does here.
Miss Honey was a wonderful teacher and a friend to everyone.
Okay.
But her life was not as simple and beautiful as it seemed.
I caution people not to confuse being friendly with being a good teacher. Like she says, or the narrator just said that she's a wonderful teacher, and maybe she is. But I don't know that yet. Like, because her classroom is very colorful and she's nice to the students, does that alone make her a good teacher? No, it does not. But it does help. It does help a lot, in fact. But is she a good teacher? I don't know. It remains to be seen. I will guess that she probably is. But just, sniffing flowers and being kind to students, that on its own doesn't make you a good teacher, but it does help an awful lot.
Honey had a deep, dark secret. Though it caused her great pain, she did not let it interfere with her teaching.
Well, Matilda, you've come on a very good day because we're going to review everything that we've learned so far.
Okay.
Now, it's all right if you don't understand any of this because you're brand new. But if you do know an answer, just raise your hand, okay?
Pretty good.
All right. We've been working on our 2 times tables. Would anyone like to demonstrate? Okay. Let's do some together.
All right.
2 times 4 is? 8. 2 times
We'll
6
call
is?
in response.
2 times 9 is? 18. Excellent.
And I don't know what grade they're supposed to be in, and it's been quite a long time since I reviewed the elementary school math standards. This seems about right. I remember learning these in like 2nd or 3rd grade, which she seems about that size. It hasn't really said what grade she's in, but so far, so good.
You've been practicing. Pretty soon you'll be able to do any multiplication, whether it's 2 times 7? 14. Very good. Or 13 times 379.
4,927.
Bam! She nailed it.
I beg your pardon?
I think that's the answer. 13 times 379. 4927.
Wow. Does she have to? Yeah, I can't do that in my head. Is she doing it on paper?
It is. Matilda, you know how to multiply big numbers?
I read this book last year in mathematics at the library.
You like to read?
Oh, yes. I love to read.
What do you like to read?
Everything. But lately I've been reading Charles Dickens. I could read him every day.
So could I.
Okay.
All right, everyone. You got your workbooks, and let's start with section 3.
Full of group stations. I like that.
I'll be back in a moment.
I'll be back in a moment. Okay, who's standing in for you, lady? I'll be back in a moment. No. You don't leave kids alone. I'll be back in a moment. No, it's, hey, teacher, on your planning, can you stand in for me for 2 minutes while I go tell the principal something or whatever she's doing? I'm not sure if she's going to talk to Miss Trunchbull, whatever. I don't know how to say her name, and it says headmistress on this door. I've talked about this before, but at a private school, particularly at a religious private school, you do have a headmaster and headmistress. I don't hear that a whole lot. But I suppose if it's a woman, I just haven't come across it a whole lot. Headmistress, I think that's correct. More commonly, just in my experience, I've seen headmaster. I don't know if this term is really used, headmistress, but you do see that at private schools. I'm not sure if this school is supposed to be a private school or not. I'm anxious to see what Miss Honey is going to do here.
He gotcha! Right in the neck. Thank you. Woo! Yes, you're
Hopefully she's killing a bug or
whoever you
something.
are.
Oh,
Almost got you.
yeah, she could maybe get in some trouble for that. I'm going to go ahead and say that's a potential firing too. You don't play darts in your office, and you sure don't throw it towards the door, especially after you told someone to come in. I mean, that could get someone pretty seriously hurt, particularly if they hit her in the eye or something. Yeah, that's potential firing.
Good to see you, Jen. Good.
Oh, that's a potential firing. I think we're up to like 7. Look, he's got the kids' faces on the dartboard. I think we're going to set a record here. I think we've already set a record with 7 for her. I think it's 7. I'm sure the correct number is on the screen, though.
Time for one of our little heart-to-hearts.
Got a spear.
Actually, it's about the
You don't have weapons strewn about your office. I think I saw some spears and stuff. That's a potential firing also.
new girl in my class, Miss Trunchbull, Matilda Wormwood.
Her father says she's a real wart.
Got a
A what?
typewriter.
A carbuncle, a blister, a festering pustule of malignant ooze.
Potential firing. You cannot say that about a child. Oh my goodness. Oh.
Matilda Wormwood is a very sweet girl and very bright.
A bright child?
Yes, she can multiply large sums in her head.
Mhm.
So can a calculator.
Well,
Yeah, but you need that skill, lady. Yes, a calculator is a tool, and you can use that tool sometimes, but you got to have that skill also. Thank you.
I think she might be happier in an older and in a more advanced
Okay.
class.
I knew it. You can't handle the little viper, so you're trying to foist her off on one of the other teachers.
No, Miss Trunchbull.
Yes, typical slothful cowardice.
No.
Listen to me, Jen. The distance the shot put goes depends upon the effort you put into it. Perspiration.
What?
If you can't handle the little brat, I'll lock her in the chokey. Get it?
And I already mentioned the whole chokey. So, and what all she said is really pushing it, to say the least. Probably wouldn't get her fired, but let's keep going.
Yes, ma'am.
One day, Jen, you'll see that everything I do is for your own good.
Potential firing. You can't put your hands on faculty members like that. That can get you fired.
And the good of those putrescent little children. The entire school will go to the assembly room immediately. Sit!
Come on, really? This is the female version of Mr. Slicer from Recess. In fact, I would say that she's worse than he is, because at least he didn't like put his hands on people. He just sort of embarrassed them. This same attitude, but not quite as bad. And yes, you do call assemblies, but you don't do it like she did, and you don't generally do impromptu assemblies, although you can, and you don't make people sit like that all at once. No, none of that. But you do have school assemblies, and you might have a reason to call an impromptu or unannounced school assembly, although it's not recommended. You want to plan that out only if you really need to. But let's keep going. Come on.
Bruce Bogtrotter.
Okay. Who's that? Is that a student? Yep, that's him, I guess.
Would little Brucey
Oh,
come
no.
up here, please?
This might be a potential firing. Let's see what she does. Unless she's going to give him an award or something. Let's see. I don't feel good about this.
This boy, Bruce Bogtrotter, is none other than a vicious sneak thief.
Okay.
You're a disgusting criminal, aren't you?
Potential firing. So if he stole something, that should absolutely be held accountable. He should be given a consequence. You don't do this. This happened on recess, actually, with the teacher. I forgot her name, where she brings TJ up in front of everybody. You don't do that. And you certainly don't call him names. A disgusting criminal. No, you don't do that. This is the worst person, let alone criminal, or not criminal, principal that I've ever seen in one of these shows or movies. But no, you don't. You handle this behind closed doors and you call the parent and you give a consequence and you move on. You don't do this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Cake. Chocolate cake.
You called the whole school together over some stolen cake? Come on, lady. Like, I'm wondering who she, well, I was going to say who's she accountable to, but if it's a private school, you have your little governing board and that's it. And if the governing board is like this and is happy with her doing all these things, there may not be a whole lot you can do. Granted, some of this stuff is like criminal. It's not even like, hey, you shouldn't do this, like throwing kids out the window and the chokey or whatever. Let's see what happens next here.
You slithered like a serpent into the school kitchen and ate my personal snack.
That's what this is
You
about.
deny it. Confess.
Well, it's hard for me to remember a specific cake.
What, he eats so many of them?
Was mine. And it was the most scrumptious cake in the entire world.
This is ridiculous.
My mom's is better.
It is it? How can you be sure unless you have another piece?
Can't
Sit
grab
down,
kids like
Bob.
that. What is she gonna do?
Now, eat it.
I don't want any. Thank you.
Eat it!
All right. If everything else she's done in this little assembly didn't get her fired, this would. The forced eating of the cake, that's a potential firing. That's a firing. All this is way over the top here.
Shut up! The entire assembly will stay 5 hours after school and copy from the dictionary.
Yeah, you can't do that. If you remember my reaction video to Mean Girls, I thought it was kind of funny because Principal Duval in that movie said, "I'll keep you here all night." And then a teacher walked up to him and whispered in his ear, we can't keep them beyond 4 p.m. And then he says, "I will keep you here till 4." Like, you cannot do what this lady is suggesting. And if she did that might be a potential firing also. Keeping them 5 hours after school, you can't do that.
Any children who object will go straight into the chokey together.
And again, threatening the chokey, you can't do that. I'm going to say that's another potential firing.
I'm Wes Cameron. I run Rescue Aid out of Station 8, Los Angeles County. This was a
These guys, if they're police, and they shouldn't be doing all this probably, but they need to go up to school and like arrest Miss Trunkbull, however you say her name. They need to arrest her like immediately. Horrible.
Don't you keep going, you useless. What? Sell me a lemon? You're heading for the chokey, young lady.
Chokey?
Teach you a lesson?
What lesson?
You and your father think you can make a fool out of me.
Yeah, and so I didn't include that scene in the video, but I'm guessing that her dad, who is a car salesman, sold her a car and she's unhappy with it. It's not working right. And so she threatens to throw her into the chokey or basically assign consequences as a result of business dealings with her dad. You can't do that. You cannot do that. That is a fireable offense. That's a potential firing right there. You can't assign consequences based on things outside of school, especially a bad business deal with the parent of a child. That's just racked with ethical issues there. You can't do it.
I nothing like my father.
You're a spitting image. The apple never rots far from the tree.
Miss Honey!
Miss Trunchbull teaches our class 3 Lavender. Please get a water pitcher.
What?
But Miss Honey!
She'll be here any second. Come on.
Why does she teach today?
Make sure the water's cold, Lavender. Hurry. Vinny, cover the fish. Put away the
Oh,
art projects. Put away
okay.
anything colorful.
So I don't know why the principal is teaching this class today. I'm not real sure, but if that's a regular thing at this school, okay. And it's funny. Miss Honey is like hiding all the colorful, positive messages because she knows that the principal will make her take it down or get rid of it or destroy it. So she's like hiding it, and she's going to probably make the classroom all bland and kind of bleak and gray. And so it's just great.
Most great ideas come from hard work and careful planning. Of course, once in a while, they just jump out at you.
Raina, cover the birds and the beetles. Hurry.
Oh.
I hear her coming. Okay, now, last time, some of you forgot yourselves. Don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Forgot yourselves.
Laugh. Don't smile. Don't even breathe loudly.
Don't breathe at all.
Morning, Miss Trunchbull.
Morning.
And by the way, I once visited the Massey Heritage Site in Savannah, Georgia. I encourage you to go there if you ever go to Savannah. And basically, it's a late 19th century, I believe, schoolhouse. It was the first public school of any kind in that area because someone local just donated a large sum of money for public education. And prior to that, there was no free public education. You had to pay if you wanted any kind of schooling. And I promise you that classroom, you can go see the original classroom, what it was like. It looked exactly like this. The same style desks in rows. Not that you can't have effective teaching if you have them in rows, but most people nowadays don't do that as much. You'll see other various groupings and things, and they'll experiment with different setups, but it looked a lot like this. What is she going to teach? That's what I want
I
to
have
know.
never been able to understand why small children are so disgusting.
Potential firing. You cannot say kids are disgusting right in the middle of the class to them. Yeah, that's a firing.
They're the bane of my life. They're like insects.
I'll lump that all into
They should
one.
be got rid of as early as possible. My idea of a perfect school is one in which there are no children at all.
I was about to say, like, what's your idea of a perfect school? No kids at all? Is that a school? I don't think it is.
Do you agree, Miss Honey?
Yeah, of course. Hey, get let out. Thank goodness.
Next time I tell you to.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen with this class. And by the way, I'm starting to see this video is going to run really long if I do it all in one video. So I'm going to actually pause it here. This is about halfway through the movie, and I will do my reaction to the second half of the movie in another video, part 2. I hope that you join me for that. It's been really interesting so far. I don't know what the firing count is up to now, but I'll put it right up here on the screen here, whatever it may be. I lost track. There were so many of them, but I hope you join me for part 2. I'm going to leave it right here. A special thanks to everybody, including channel member Anna Waymeyer, for recommending this movie to me. I really appreciate it. Glad I was able to finally get to it. But with that, I'm going to leave the video here. I hope you join me again for part 2, and I'll see you next time on School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.